Hi, welcome to the DTN Sports Newsroom. I'm your host, Saucy Top Chair. Today is our first episode of DTN This Week in the NHL with your host, Dogmatic. Dogmatic, what do we have in store for us today?
Thanks, Saucy. Today on DTN's This Week in the NHL, we're going to discuss the waiver wire. On October 8th, all 32 NHL teams had to put their waiver claims in because they have to be cap compliant and have their full rosters ready by 5 p.m. Eastern Time, October 9th, which will be today when this video is released. So we're going to discuss this waiver wire and who I think may have a possibility of being claimed by another team. So let's get started.
All right, without further ado, let's get right into the episode.
So, welcome everyone. This is the first episode of our segment DTN's This Week in the NHL. There'll be no special guest today, as what we're going to discuss is just the waiver wire. Since the season's fast approaching, games will start on Tuesday. I wanted to at least get one video up here to discuss the waiver wire while all the teams try to get cap compliant by today, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to discuss who went on waivers and if anybody that I feel may have a chance to be claimed. So let's get right into it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you kind of two lists. I'm going to break it down like almost alphabetically, and then we'll go from there. So I put October 8th because that was yesterday and all the teams had to put in all their players on waivers that they needed to by October 8th so they can either clear waivers or they are claimed before the 5 p.m. deadline. Okay, so first, let's do the first list. So what we have here is, okay, we have Anaheim has Thompson, Stalock, Agazino. Arizona has Sanford, Prosvetov, and Boyd. Boston has Greer and Brown. Carolina has Coughlin. Chicago has Anderson. Colorado has Tuff. Dallas has Damiani. Detroit now has Austin Reese. I believe they got them from Carolina, who's away from Carolina. He ended up signing a two-way contract with Detroit just a couple days ago, so we'll discuss him a little bit further. Edmonton has Peterson, Pedersen, Lavoie, and Gleason. Florida has Ludwig, Fitzgerald, Delpy. LA has Anderson, Dolan. Montreal has Lindstrom and Armia. Now, there's only a couple here that I think there's a possibility. So let's go with Austin Reese. Now, Austin Reese just signed with Detroit a two-way contract. So then they go and put him on waivers, like pretty much the next day. So I think there's still a possibility he could be claimed, even though he probably wasn't claimed through Carolina. Now that everybody's kind of moving parts around, he is on a two-way contract. So, oh no, he was on a PTO with Carolina. Yes, okay, sorry. Yeah, he was on a PTO with Carolina, and they released him as PTO. So he signed a two-way contract with Detroit, and then they put him on waivers. I still think he is serviceable. He played for Toronto last year. He was a healthy scratch a couple times here and there, but also he played for the Avalanche the year before and he won a cup. So he does have that experience that teams may want. So if there's a team that obviously has a little bit cap room that may want to use him, I'm trying to think who. Jersey's pretty deep. Boston has no cap. Maybe Florida, get a little more experience, if even Florida can make the playoffs this year. there's a couple teams that may think they have a chance, and if they have a little bit of wiggle room, they may take a chance on him. We will find out by 4 or 5 o'clock, right? So I do think that there could be possibility for him. And the next one is Joel Armia from Montreal. Now, the downside is he's waived by Montreal, who's going to be a bottom feeder this year. They're probably going to be, bottom 3 this year in the NHL standings. So if you can't make Montreal, unless there's another reason, unless he asked, just waive me or whatever, maybe he gave up. Maybe he's like, okay, this team's going to be so bad, I don't know. So, but he is, he's been around for a little while, so I think there could be a potential for him, right? Maybe if he gets on a team that has a chance to make the playoffs, maybe he gives him a little bit of life, but we'll see. So those are the first 2 on that list. I'm going to show you the next list here. So now, here we go. We got Mama from Ottawa, Zahorna, White, Hinostroza, Hellberg, Friedman from Pittsburgh. We got Walker, Subban, Rosen, McEachran from St. Louis, Fortier, Bogosian from Tampa Bay, LaJoy, Legason, Clifford, Benoit, Jones, and Gambro from Toronto, Studnicka and Wolanin from Vancouver, Denisenko from Vegas, who they just got, so, and Janssen, Falby, Delia, and Bianco. So let's kind of go over who I think has a potential here. Okay, so first we'll go with, that's wrong. It's supposed to be Jones. So hold on here. Wrong one. So Bogosian. Let's go with Bogosian. So Zach Bogosian, obviously Tampa. He won a cup with Tampa. He played for at least 1 season. He is a serviceable defenseman. Yeah, he's getting up there in age and probably a little slower, so he's probably a bottom pair, or he can come in and out. So I could see a team, even like Toronto, who's had injuries recently with their defensemen, and still they're not healthy. So they have one defenseman now, it's long term, and they're getting their one defenseman supposedly back right by the beginning of the season. He's supposed to be ready to go, but he could be serviceable as that 7th defenseman, and I don't think he would be out of place. He is familiar with the team, so you could have something like that. There are other teams that are probably could be in a similar situation. You got maybe a defenseman out long term, and you need that 6th, 7th defenseman. So if when they do get healthy, he could be a healthy scratch and come in and out. You know how now they're starting to do that whole load management. So with that whole team load management, you have somebody that's older, like, you have players that are in their late 30s, like Bogosian, so maybe they don't play on back-to-backs, and Bogosian steps in back-to-back. As long as he's in the NHL, I think he'd be happy, and I think he's still serviceable. So the next person on the list, I think, would be Jones. Now, I'm not sure why Toronto signed Martin Jones. Maybe as security in case somebody got hurt, maybe during the preseason, like Samsonov just left practice there last week, but he's okay. Joseph Wall, if Joseph Wall was able to get clear waivers and go back to the minors, it would have been a no-brainer. You're going to get Jones, you're going to give Wall his chance to shine, play almost every game in the AHL, but now that he has to clear waivers, you're not going to send him down. He'll be picked up in a heartbeat. But with Jones, I can see him being claimed. You got to figure, like Tampa, Vasilevsky's gone long term. Jones was a starter in the NHL the past few seasons. He was with Seattle last year. I know he hasn't been great the last couple seasons, but he still was a full-time NHL goaltender. He wasn't a backup the last couple of seasons. So I still think Jones will. I think he's probably, if I had to pick one out of this whole list, I think he's the one that would be claimed over the others. I think Bogosian would probably be second. But let's go on to the last person I think has a chance to be claimed, and that's Calle Rosen from St. Louis. So Calle Rosen played for the Leafs last year, and he played pretty much every game, and he was third line, fourth line guy. He was an energy guy. He played, I think, to me, he played well for the Leafs. So for him to be cut by St. Louis, I think he's serviceable for sure. I think that's my list there. My top three would be Jones, Bogosian, and Rosen will all be claimed. So any team that has, even if they're not making the playoffs, they still need to fill up the roster with NHL caliber players. Rosen may get a good opportunity playing on a weaker team. Maybe somebody like Arizona that's young. Anaheim even. Anaheim's young. They're kind of getting experience. I think Rosen can help them a bit. So that is my list of who I feel can be claimed. Now, I want your feedback. I want everybody to comment. Who do you think is going to be claimed on waivers before the 5 p.m. deadline? Who do you think can be serviceable? What teams do you think are going to pick these players up? I'm going to try to do this weekly segment, but I want participation from the audience. I'm going to still have guests. We're working out the bugs right now to make sure everything goes off. Obviously you can't say without hitch, because this is a brand new segment. This is a brand new thing for us here on the DTN. We've never done anything like this, so to have multiple people on through like a Zoom or through a chat rooms kind of thing, or so virtually, kind of like the sports networks do. But we're going to try to have player customer interaction, or what do you call audience interaction. Hopefully in the future we'll even be able to have maybe live shows where we can have people come in and comment and stuff like that. I'm not sure we're going to do a whole 12-hour thing like the trade deadline, like say Sportsnet, ESPN, TSN all do, and then yet they sit there for say 10 out of the 12 hours and just repeat things over and over and over because there's no trades made, right? We don't want to do that. We may do a live recap during the deadline day to see what everybody else's reactions are and if everybody's happy or disappointed in their team, right, or what they did or what they did not do. And that always happens, right? You have a team that you think is on the cusp, it's right there, that just maybe need a defenseman or maybe need a better backup goalie or some more scoring, and their general manager just doesn't get it done. And it may disappoint you, or you may think you hit a home run and do pick it. So we want to do that. We may do a live version of that, but I don't think we would do it over the whole time. Maybe we might do an hour or two just near the end when we're getting close to closing off the deadline day action, and then we can do a recap and then customer interaction or audience interaction. I don't know why I keep saying customer. But yeah, so if you have any comments about this waiver wire, leave in the comment section below. We can address it for sure. We'll bring it up and keep everyone involved. So, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.